Well, Mr. Haddocks, it's the end of the road almost, really, isn't it now? You've been here 5 years.
5.5 years,
5.5.
ending 2 weeks' time. So we're on the boat on Friday, the 1st of April.
Because you had this extension, didn't you?
We did, just for a few months, because of the elections in UK. It was more convenient for the UK to ask us to stay a little bit longer before they launched a recruiting process.
Was that a bonus for you?
It was a no-brainer to say yes.
Well, let's go back to the beginning, really. You've been a high flyer in your naval career. You retired. Then you see the advert in the paper one day, and
I saw the advert in the paper, and I thought that would be a nice thing to go and do. I threw my hat in the ring, as many others did as well, and I won the lottery. And that particular lottery, and Penny and I came, and we've lived in this beautiful house with this fantastic view for 5.5 years, and we've absolutely loved it.
What did you know about the island before you signed up?
Well, I'd been here. I was captain of a ship and brought it here in 1981 to provide the honour guard for Tynwald. So I'd been to the island, I'd seen St John's and the Tynwald ceremony, and I'd been to Government House and met the then Lieutenant Governor. So yeah, I knew a little, but not a lot.
The job changed a lot over the time?
The job has changed a lot over the decades, hasn't changed much during my time of office. But in the last 25 years, the job has changed from being effectively Chief Executive of the Isle of Man to being much more simply the Queen's representative and doing some constitutional and community stuff, but without having any hands on the levers of power, which now rightly belong to the elected government and the Council of Ministers.
Do you think the position is still tenable these days? I mean, do you think it's needed?
Well, the Queen is head of state. She doesn't live here, so she needs a representative, and that's what the job is. Even big countries like Australia and Canada have a Queen's representative. They call him there the Governor-General, but it's the same job, and that's what I do in the Isle of Man too. Do
you think things will change more? Do you think it will come to a point when the job won't necessarily be held by an outsider, more of a Manx person?
Well, that's for the Manx to decide. The selection process now is completely in the hands of the Isle of Man. The interviews for my successor were held in the Isle of Man by an Isle of Man panel. So if they sense that the right candidate is a Manxman, I'm sure they will pick him or her.
What was it like for you when you applied? It didn't set up then?
Well, when I applied, the selection process was hosted by the UK government, but the then Chief Minister and First Deemster, together with the Permanent Secretary of the Constitutional Affairs Department, formed the interview panel. My understanding is that the decision largely rested with the two island representatives. But now the whole process is within the hands of the Manx government.
Well, 5.5 years, obviously you've got some things that will stand out. But let's go, first of all, when you arrived, you took over. Did it take you a long time to settle into the
No, we
life?
settled in very quickly. We had done similar kinds of things and lived in similarly large houses in Belgium. So that wasn't particularly novel. What made it very easy for us was the great welcome we received from everybody, the great support we had here in the house, both in the office and domestically. And we settled down, I think, very, very quickly, and hopefully began to make a contribution.
And that contribution, how would you sum it up? What do you bring to the Isle of Man?
Well, I think I bring someone who is front of house for the Isle of Man. That's what we've tried to do with Government House. I've taken about 18,000 guests through the doors of Government House in my time. 578 social occasions I have hosted here. I added them up the other day. So we do that, and I think we provide a little bit of a focus for some of the social and public life of the island. But the real bottom line of what the Lieutenant Governor does is that he represents the Queen and represents the Crown's ultimate responsibility for good government. So I have been required in a very quiet way just to watch that good government in the absolute macro sense is present in the Isle of Man. And I have had not a moment's doubt that this is a fully democratic, well-governed, well-organised jurisdiction in which the rule of law is paramount and where there is proper probity in public life. Those are the kind of macro things I want to make sure are true, and they are true in the Isle of Man.
So explain in a normal week what would happen, your interaction with government.
Well, in order to be confident that there is good government in a macro sense, I need to be well informed. So in a normal week, just as the Queen meets with the Prime Minister and all of those sorts of folks on a regular basis, I meet with the Chief Minister, the Chief Secretary, I meet them weekly. I meet other senior officials, the Chief Constable, the Bishop, people like that on a regular basis as well. And we really discuss what we're seeing and hearing and doing in the island, and it's very, very useful and interesting. And you know, if I get a chance to offer a view of something, if it's asked for, I'll offer it. But the Isle of Man is completely self-governing, and I don't play any role in its government.